When we normally talk about victims, domestic abuse, and perpetrators, we have an idea of what it looks like. And in my head, and what everyone taught me was that you had to be careful of strangers, you have to be careful who you talk to, and most of the times, the idea that it was never going to happen to me. I met this guy, and we had a full week of fun. I thought of him as a very interesting person. I really liked how he had conversations. And after he left, we kept talking for months. We video chatted every day, and I thought that we had a relationship at that moment. So at one point, he asked me if I wanted to go visit him all the way to his country. And without a doubt, I said yes. I embarked in 16-hour flights just to see, just to be hopeful for once, to see if this was love or not. Once I arrived at his apartment, it was very clear that the situation had changed. It was a very small place. There was really no space for me, but also I was not allowed to leave anymore. It started very little with, I just want your company, I am cooking for you, don't be ungrateful. And little by little, it got into more violent scenarios, with him throwing at me pans, plates, objects, stealing my things, and locking me in his room. In my mind, it was very difficult that at that moment I was either getting kidnapped or abused, or that there was violence in my environment. I couldn't see it. I was there following love, following ideas and hope. And when I arrived to this foreign country, the immigration officers treated me very badly. And that sort of set the scene of me distrusting this new country, in which I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't know people. It was my first time abroad in Europe. And I just, in that moment, I didn't thought. The world seemed already too dangerous for me to go outside or to even fight. But also I spent most of my savings on that trip. So actually getting a hotel, a hostel, it was beyond my capacity. I didn't have a SIM card. I didn't have a Metro card. He really made sure that I was in a way isolated and I didn't have contact with the outside world. So I couldn't really think of solutions at that moment, and I didn't have internet. It's not like he was abusive with me every day. There were days where he would put a movie that I liked and we could watch it, or he would cook me a nice dinner. So once I was out, I immediately went to the airport and left. I didn't want to stay longer. I didn't want to go to the police. I didn't want to talk to anyone. At that moment, I hadn't even realized what had happened. And I never considered screaming or doing anything that could get me in trouble in a new country with different laws. Who are you going to believe, right? Are you going to believe a Latin American woman? Or are you going to believe a white European man? And I felt all this shame of not being smart enough. Not being smart enough to just fight, to just go out and get a hotel and call my parents and ask them for money. I am a very independent woman and I'm not used to asking for favors. So at this moment, I didn't know what to do. My only chance was to agree, being agreeable, and to hope for the best. You have to be committed. You have to work for relationships. Relationships are not easy. There's problems. And if you're really committed to someone and you want to make it work, you make it work. And all of these ideas, I was like, yes, I'm going to make these things work. I traveled half of the planet just to meet this love of my life that has come to rescue me, that would mean that everything else that happened until that point would have made sense and it was worth to live through. then it would have purpose. Then everything I went through was not a nightmare, but a heroic story. And I prefer to choose that perspective.